Awesome. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and bring Alejandra up? Thanks, Gary. Bring Alejandra up on the spotlight, Chris, and you can take me away. I will just introduce her and we'll have her take it away. We're really pleased to have Alejandra Warren join us. She is the executive director and co-founder of Plastic Free Future. And as we were chatting about earlier, she is in Uruguay right now advocating on our behalf on the negotiation of the plastics treaty. So thank you so much for representing Alejandra. Alejandra is a sustainability consultant and intersectional environmentalist working on diverse resource conservation, climate and resiliency and intersectional justice projects across the San Francisco Bay Area. She co-founded Plastic Free Future in 2020, and from soils to humans, Alejandra strongly believes in the interconnectedness of all organisms and working to heal our relationships with the environment. It will lead to a happier, healthier, and more resilient communities. So a little bit about Plastic Future and then Free Future, and then I'll turn it over to Alejandra. Plastic Free Future is a California-based nonprofit organization dedicated to the reduction and elimination of plastic pollution through promoting reusable alternatives and focusing on outreach to systematically excluded communities. By focusing on environmental justice, social equity, and inclusion within the global movement to eliminate plastic pollution, Plastic Free Future aims to amplify, support, and represent voices that have been historically excluded from sustainability conversations. We are so thrilled to introduce Alejandra. And
Thank
you
you.
can start your video there, Alejandra, and I'll stop
Can
mine.
you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Perfect.
I can hear you, but I
That's,
can't see you.
that's okay. Can you see my screen though?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then we're good. Hi, everyone. My name is Alejandra Warren, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm really thankful for this opportunity to share this beautiful information with you. I feel like 5 years ago, we were not ready to hear this content. So I am really excited that we're finally in a place where people like me get a platform to talk about our ideas and how we want to see zero waste going. So let's get started. This is my definition of zero waste. Zero waste to me is the slow process of relearning the wise and gentle ways of Mother Earth, where nothing ever goes to waste. Zero waste is about a relationship with everyone and everything. It's an environmental and social responsibility. So this is little me. I am about a 6-year-old right there. I was born in a small town in Colombia, in South America. It's called Zipaquirá, right next to Bogota. If you ever stop by, you're gonna love it. We have Salt Cathedral that is a little bit famous, and that was my first job. So the reason why I'm here is because I want to tell you a little bit about the way I grew up. So this is how our markets looked like when I was little. I grew up in the 80s and 90s in South America. A lot of reuse, a lot of clean, beautiful food, healthy food. We also grew with our family herbs for healing. It was really important to us to have access to herbs for headaches and for stomach aches and for high blood pressure. So if you can see on the right, you can also buy those. Look at those. Those are for high blood pressure, for digestive issues, for asthma, for nerves. So we had solutions to all of this, right? And we grew those herbs and learned about those herbs and the healing properties of those herbs in our family. And that was the way to go for us. It was not medicine or over-the-counter medicine. It was this. This was our to-go medicine. A lot of water collection. Of course, you know that there's scarcity of energy and water, so that makes us really conscious and really aware of the resources that we have. A really deep respect and connection with our water resources, with our food resources. We were very mindful about waste, and we were very careful with all of our resources. I also used to bike to school or walk to school. When I was little, my parents didn't have a car, so it was just walking, and taking public transportation. So I basically have a PhD in public transportation. The donkey, of course, I was gonna bring the donkey because the donkey used to deliver milk. So that donkey that you see there would stop by your house. You would get your glass jar out, and the milkman would serve you 1 liter or 2 liters of milk, and that way there's no plastic. Panadería del barrio. Every single neighborhood in Latin America has a panadería, our main source of food, bread. We love bread. You can buy it one at a time, 100 at a time. You just bring your own basket and get your beautiful bread without any plastic. And it was not only about donkeys. Let me make sure I didn't miss one. No, they're all here. Okay, not only about donkeys. Of course, we also had Coke and things like that. But this is how we used to get Coke in our family. Well, in my grandma's family. They bring you the basket with all of your drinks. You can mix them up. You can get a mix of Fanta and Sprite and Coca-Cola. They bring you the basket. You put all of the bottles back, and then you can take them back to the store, or you can schedule a pickup from the truck, and there is zero plastic in that interaction. In fact, if you return the basket full and you return every single one of the caps, they give you cool prices. That's how Coca-Cola was dealing with Colombia in the 80s and 90s. So by the time I started kindergarten, I already was exposed and had experience in composting systems, reuse and refill systems, repair systems, rainwater collection systems, micromobility and public transportation, food, energy, and water conservation strategies. So now, 2022, we're calling that the circular economy. So not only in Colombia and South America, but all over the world, all of these beautiful traditions have been replaced through colonialism and imperialism and consumerism. All of our practices have been slowly disappearing. And instead of buying that beautiful food without plastic, we are exposed to a lot of plastic packaging and also to a lot of unhealthy, processed, highly processed foods. The beautiful baskets that all cultures have, indigenous communities, African communities, Southeast Asian communities, we all have baskets. All of those beautiful baskets that were actually a connection to the object because we made them ourselves or our family made them, all of those were replaced by single-use plastic and by plastic bags. We all know that that has become one of the biggest crises of our generation. All of the medicines that we grew to heal ourselves became the pharma industry, filling us not only with plastic and containers that we don't need and are almost impossible to recycle, but also with side effects that these herbs, medicinal herbs, usually don't have. I love this meme, medicine commercial. Side effects include headache, fever, depression, cancer, death. And you see people dancing and playing and so happy. It's like they're trying to distract us of the side effects. So we don't care about the side effects, but the side effects are there. All the beautiful biking and micromobility, communities that are not car-centric, but are community-centered, disappear, and we get this. And with that, we get more pollution, more sickness, more asthma, and of course, low-income communities have a disproportionately impact of all of these issues. Obesity, high blood pressure, asthma, and all of these issues affect disproportionately low-income Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities. And Coke failed us completely. They took away our refill systems, they took away our returnable systems, and started to load us with plastic. So the point of all of this is that if you look in your neighborhood, if you look in the city where you're working, Black, Brown, and Indigenous communities, and also low-income communities already have this knowledge. If you have to wake up every morning to take the bus because you don't have a car or you don't have access to a car, you are an expert in transportation and micromobility. If you know that your family is struggling with money and you can buy a lot of food to waste, you know that every single piece of onion or tomato or lettuce is going to go to a salad and never to the trash. So it is part of that respect and part of that knowledge that tells you resources are precious and we know how to take really good care of them. These are two examples of one of refill and reuse in Africa. Is exactly the way it used to work in Colombia in the 80s. It's still happening in Africa. These women started a cooperative where they milk the cows and the goats, they put it in the aluminum containers, then they deliver it in bikes, just like we did before. And this one in Thailand, a supermarket just changed all of their plastic packaging to their original, traditional, ancestral knowledge of wrapping it in banana leaves and in other leaves. You don't have to go to Thailand or to Africa to get that kind of expertise. That expertise is already in your communities. So when we think about reuse and refill, I don't want people to think that stainless steel containers are the only option, that reusable plastic is the only option, because it's not. So if we are in the world of reuse, refill, and zero waste, we have to be really mindful that we protect the tradition, the ancestral knowledge, and the traditional knowledge of our communities. I don't want to see anyone replacing any of these beautiful packaging methods for reusable plastics. That's not the way to go. We need to protect our knowledge. So like I was telling you, you don't have to go to Thailand or Africa because your community already has this knowledge. So now we're going to the point of how are we going to integrate this knowledge into our zero waste, reuse, and refill strategies? By validating the knowledge of these people. Black, brown, and indigenous communities already have the knowledge that we need, that we desperately need, and that is so crucial. We need to start redesigning the way we hire people. I know that everyone wants to look for PhDs and master degrees and people that are really good at those things, but sometimes if you redesign your hiring process and you decide that your cover letter is going to tell you more about this person than their credentials, you are going to open the doors to amazing opportunities, to knowing people that otherwise you would have never known or hired or involve their knowledge in your programs. So redesigning the hiring process is essential. Respect their time and allocate funding. You can call people and tell them, hey, let me talk to you for 1 hour, get all the knowledge you have, and then send you home. That is extremely disrespectful, and it happens all the time. Latina women are at the bottom of the payment numbers. So there are white men and white women, and then Asian women, then Asian men, then black men, then black women, then Latina men, and then Latina women. So if you want to hire black women or indigenous women or Latina women, you have to make sure you respect their time. And you are not going to look at the credentials. Do you have a PhD or not? You're going to look at the content of the knowledge and how that knowledge is going to have benefits that is going to go way beyond zero waste, because we're not talking about waste diversion only. We're talking about changing the entire system. Don't take credit for their work or the ideas. This is 2022. We don't do that anymore. Hire them as co-creators and equals. Don't hire them as tokens. When you hire a person because your webpage looks way too white, way too old, and way too male, you are not getting it right. You have to make sure that they come as leaders, as equals, as co-creators. So the new R's of sustainability, we are already moving away from some R's that we know that are not as effective as we hoped they were. So let's think about the new ones. Reuse, repair. Repair is going to play a really important role in the circular economy. It's going to provide jobs. So please, if you're thinking about zero waste, don't forget about repair. Put more funding and money in repair. Repair is really important. Repair is what's going to take us out of this mess if we get it right. Restore, we need to restore our soils. Our soils are dying. Even look at your backyard. Your backyard is getting a little sandier, a little drier, a little sadder every single day. And it is our responsibility to restore the soil, because the soil is the source of all of our life. We need to reclaim our traditions. We need to reclaim our ways. We need to reclaim our land. Reconnect with each other is essential. We can't forget that all of this is a bigger change. It's not just sustainability and waste and trash. It's about creating stronger and better and bigger society. To decolonize and heal, that's the ultimate plan, the ultimate goal, that everything we do help us heal hundreds of years of mistakes. Why not? We can do it all. So how do we do that? We need to move away from the 3-bin system. That is one option, but it's not the only option. And when I hear zero waste all over the world, I hear about recycling and composting, and that's wonderful, and we need it. We still need recycling, because even though we know that only 5% of plastic is being recycled right now, recycling systems are recovering a lot of aluminum and glass and materials that are really important for us. So I think that recycling of materials like aluminum and glass are still important in our society, but they are not the real solution. We already know that lots of the materials that we're sending to other countries labeled as recycling are causing a huge issue in these communities. Look at that person in India. We are sending all of our recycling to Turkey, Southeast Asia, Mexico, South America, loading communities with toxic plastics. They do not have the capability to deal with all of this waste that was generated by us. That's called waste colonialism. We are perpetuating colonialism. We're perpetuating injustices, and it's time for us to say no more. What's the solution? Zero waste, reuse, and refill systems that can provide an opportunity to create cleaner and non-toxic green jobs. Something that I forgot to mention in this one is that I want you to think about something. If your 3-bin system is requiring additional sorting because people are not doing it at home, and companies have to hire someone to sort through that waste, that's a mistake. That's a really problem in the system, because you know who's going to be sorting that trash, right? Black people, brown people, indigenous people, low-income communities, they're going to be the ones doing the sorting. And that is, again, perpetuating the injustices, perpetuating servilism, perpetuating caste systems, perpetuating social injustices and racial injustices. So please, if your community can get it right and they can sort everything correctly and you can collect all of that beautiful compost, amazing. That's the ultimate goal. If you have to hire people to go through this trash, go through COVID tests and syringes and drug things to make sure that somebody else gets the clean recycling, that's not the right way to do it. So think about it, please, and consider the definition that we're using for zero waste. So let's go to the positive, the happy, reuse and refill systems. There's where the really good jobs are. Positive jobs, clean jobs, happy jobs, joyful jobs, cleaner and non-toxic. Nobody has to deal with trash. Nobody has to sort waste and dog poop that I found sorting. Cleaner jobs and connections that help us, again, make changes that are bigger than waste. Another issue with reuse and refill systems is they can help us close the gap with equity, because the poverty tax is real. The little picture there, I took it when I was working in our community. I do a lot of work with Latinx communities. And when you go to those communities, you find lots of sachets, lots of smaller portions of rice, of soaps, of shampoos. All of this is designed to exploit low-income communities because they're paying so much more and they're getting more packaging. Because if you think about it, for a low-income person to have the 96 loads, they need to buy at least 15 of those little ones. So their communities are loaded with plastic. On the right side, you have my favorite reuse and refill company. It's called Algramo. I really recommend you to Google them. Algramo was started by an engineer in South America, in Chile. He's amazing because he was thinking about poverty and how this poverty tax was really affecting the communities in South America. So he started with this system where you can put as many coins as you want to buy a little bit of rice or a little bit of lentils. And when you live in an informal economy, like most communities do in the rest of the world, in the global South, buying a bulk is really important because it lets you buy the 25 cents of rice that you can afford a day until you go to work the next day, can make a little bit more money to buy a little bit more rice. That's how it works, people. Low-income communities still survive like that. More carrots, less sticks. I love policy. I do a lot of work in policy. Right now I'm in Uruguay, working on the global plastic treaty, making sure that we get it right. Policy is important. I'm not going to say that it's not. But I feel like when we think about policy, we don't think in an equitable way. And we're always thinking about money. 25 charges for a container, 25 cents for a cup, 25 cents for a bag. Who's paying the cost of that? Low-income communities, Black communities, brown communities. Why? Because when you're a Black mom and you have to pick up your kid from school, take the bus to work, and take the bus to pick him up again, you forget your reusable bags. That happens. So when you get to pick up food and they tell you there's a 25 cent for a container and you count your coins, that can make the difference between you buying lunch or not buying lunch. So please be really mindful with the policy you're writing. If you're interested in policy in reuse and refill systems, I host a committee that's called the Equity in Reuse and Refill. I can give you my email and I would love for you to join. It's completely free, of course. And it's just to make sure that we're educated about how we're going to get this right without affecting the communities that are suffering the most. I love this program. It's called Connect. I got it about 5 years ago, just out of curiosity. So far, I have claimed $270 in gift cards. It works. Look it up. And all they do is they pay you every time there's a rush of energy. They send you a text and they tell you there's an hour from 5 to 6, turn off everything and we'll pay you. And it works. So with the technology that we have, with the knowledge that we have, putting money in reducing is going to make a really big difference and is going to help incentivize the reductions that we need to save water and energy. We can integrate that into our systems. Making an app is so easy. We asked a high school student to make an app for us and he made it for like $200. So you can definitely fund that. You can build that, be creative and think outside of the box. I love this picture from Zero Waste Network. It has some numbers about how a reuse economy, a refill economy, and a zero waste economy can foster this source of income for communities. So we really need to think outside dollars, those 60 million contracts, 40 million contracts. Let's share the wealth. Why not put 1 million of those millions into our community? What would be the impact of sharing a little bit, right? Redistributing that wealth, redistributing those resources to see what our community can do with that. Inclusive zero waste and reuse systems foster sovereignty, self-reliance, abundance, and joy. Because if they're truly inclusive, they bring people together, they bring communities together. If you think about a community garden, there's so much joy in a community garden. Not only that it's available for everyone, but it also produces food. It could produce herbs for healing. And it's just joyful to have that interaction with the soil and with plants. It offers benefits beyond waste reduction. They provide economic, mental, social, and spiritual benefits. This works for composting. This works for water collection. Anything that can bring you outdoors, that is the goal of zero waste, to help us reconnect. Redistribute knowledge, wealth, opportunities, and power among your community. Again, if we have a $40 million for the city, why not add a percentage of that to our community? increase whatever project you have going on. Go to the people that are already doing beautiful work in your community. If they're doing beautiful work in your community, they are the ones that have the knowledge to create a reuse and refill system that is going to work for that community. You can come and tell them, here, these are the containers that you're going to use from now on. That's not how it works. That's not equitable. That's not fair. That's disrespectful. And they already have the knowledge. So all you have to do is fund that knowledge to get it done right. Channel more funding to community-based solutions. We can expect that the people that created these problems are going to find real solutions for us. Solutions like chemical recycling, solutions like desalination. They are just projects to make more money with our struggle, with our scarcity, and with our needs. What would happen if we put some money in our community and in the leaders that are already doing beautiful work? Develop solutions and systems that bring into consideration the health and well-being of soil, water, air, fauna, and microfauna, not only humans. If we're talking about inclusivity, let's go crazy. Let's be truly inclusive. Let's not just be so anthropocentric and think only humans. The problem with the anthropocentric perspective is that is what brought us to this problem in the first time, is that disconnection that we have to take care of nature without realizing that we are an actual part of nature. Nature is within all of us. We breathe air, we are water, we are the soil that grows our food. All of us is us. So if we understand that connection by respecting all of the organisms that are related to us, that we depend on them, it's going to help us take better care of the planet and our nature, because we understand that we depend on each other. Soil, water, air, but also the little buggies. It doesn't have to be only about your dog. If you love animals, it doesn't mean I love my dog. It means you love everything. You love insects. You love the butterfly. I love my worms from my vermicompost. And I think all kids should be exposed to vermicompost, because once you love worms and you understand that they're giving you compost that helps you nurture your plants, life changes, because you respect all those little organisms that are making food and life and clean air for you. You understand that they're part of your health and your well-being too. Keep nutrients local. To me, that's really important. I know we love putting our compost in a green bin and sending it somewhere for farms and to grow our food. That's great. If you live in California, wonderful. But if you are anywhere else in the world and you can promote keeping nutrients locally, that is even better, because the best and most efficient systems work with localized systems that recycle nutrients. A really good example of that is the rainforest. When they're in the rainforest, a leaf falls on the ground, that soil is full of microbiomes that are ready to break it down immediately, in hours. And that decomposition is feeding the materials that the soil needs to grow the tree. So the interconnection is really, really close. It's a closed loop system. It's the closest loop system. That's why it's so important that we keep nutrients local. We support not only community composting systems, but also backyard compost. If you can invest money in telling, okay, we're gonna give every family that wants a backyard compost the resources, the technical assistance, the materials. We're gonna send someone to your house, do a walkthrough. You don't have a backyard? Okay, let's get you a vermicompost. You have a backyard? Okay, let me walk around with you and decide what's the best place for you so you don't have problems with odors or with raccoons or all of the things that people care about that is keeping them from composting in their own homes. When they see that their food waste becomes soil, and that soil can become the future garden, and they have the fruits growing and the tomatoes growing, that changes brains, that changes minds, that changes perspectives, and it makes us appreciate so much more that everything that is growing in our garden came from our efforts, from our work, and from our love. And that's what we need: more love, more joy, more connections between each other, between the planet, all of us. that's what we need to foster. Again, beyond zero waste, equitable and inclusive zero waste systems are not about waste. We need to stop thinking about waste. I know that's how we think, but that's not the ultimate purpose. And a really effective zero waste program brings community together, strengthens our relationship with nature and with each other. It fosters well-being and health and joy and community, healthier foods. All of these inequities are so interconnected. When you go to a place where there's a food desert, you see the same issues, higher numbers of high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease and asthma. That's because our connection to the planet, to Earth, to the soil was stolen from us. And that's why reclaiming is so important, because that connection was stolen from us through capitalism and through colonialism, and we need to recover it. And it's not only about Black and Brown and indigenous communities. Probably if you talk about your European ancestors, they had similar practices too. Your ancestors were probably weaving baskets. Your European ancestors were probably growing their own food and being so conscious and so careful of their resources. So all of us have that connection in our blood. If it is in our blood, we just have to activate it. How do we activate it? By interacting directly. Get dirty, get in the soil, do stuff. You have to be in outdoors every single day. You're close to water, get your feet in the water and breathe that connection. That connection is in all of us, and we need to turn it on if we want to solve this problem. Not only the problem of waste, the problem of the climate crisis, the problem of racism, of inequity, the problem of plastic pollution, and in my opinion, the saddest one for me, the problem of biodiversity loss. Every time we lose a species, we lose a little bit of humanity, a little bit of technology that just we don't understand it yet. But that's technology that has been developed for billions of years, and we just let it go poof by not caring about it. So caring is what zero waste should be aiming for. And that's all I have. I want to remind you that any environmental work that you do needs to be intersectional. It's not an option. It has to be. The laws of the mother, the laws of Mother Nature are the center of everything. They rule everything. We're just too arrogant to believe it or to understand it. But that's the ultimate rule, and that's the rule we have to respect. And I don't know, maybe in a few thousand years, humanity will understand that we're just a small part of the laws and we don't rule, the mother rules. But in the meantime, we need to be inclusive and respectful with everything we do from an environmental perspective. Otherwise, we're always going to get it wrong. So think about disability, think about racial issues, think about social issues. When you open your mind to the perspectives of other people, you're always going to get it right. Thank you, and you can scan the QR code for Instagram. That's our webpage. And again, if you're interested in joining our reuse equity and inclusion in reuse, I would love to share the link with you. Thank you so much.
Wow, Alejandra, that was fantastic. So much appreciate your message to us today and for leading us off on the Zero Waste Community Day. And we'll let you get back to your advocacy work, representing us on our on your behalf at the Uruguay Plastics Treaty. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And if there are any questions, please send them to me. I love being on a texting basis with people that want to do better, like using less plastic or whatever it is, or just to chat, have a coffee. I'm located in Ohlone Land, that is the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm open for coffee and conversations and making little bit of work that is going to make us all happier and healthier and bring us together. So thank you so much again for inviting me today.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Wow. So that was inspiring.